Welcome to the Professionally Evil Perspective. I'm Nathan Sweeney.
And I'm Kevin Johnson.
And this is our Professionally Evil Perspective on current events. Kevin, we're back.
It has been a while.
It has been a while. There are people that have been subscribed to this podcast for years that have not seen an update.
What amazes me is how many people are still downloading the last episode from 2018.
From 2018, yeah.
I can't determine whether that's because they're just finding it now or their computer is so slow it took till now to download it.
Right. They're using Internet Explorer, right? Give them...
Windows Vista.
Yeah. We won't talk about the fact that we just found that in a client's environment last week. So if you're joining us for the first time, this is our opportunity to talk about current events. This is our podcast where we just jump on and talk about stuff from a professionally evil perspective. Kevin, what does professionally evil mean for those that have never come across security?
Those are two very simple words. No, so we've talked about this many times publicly. The idea behind professional evil is just we want to test, assess, consult customers from a perspective that they understand what an attacker would do. So we have to understand evil, pun intended, whatever you want to call it, but we aren't the bad people, right? We're doing it professionally. We've got a contract, we have permission, we have all that kind of stuff. So that's what it is. It really was just a funny phrase I used in class, and one of the students said, "That should be your slogan." And I looked at him and went, "It is." And
hold on while I trademark that real quick.
1 second. I've got to go in. I've got to file some paperwork.
That's awesome. Well, and I've noticed over the years, I've been with security. This is my 9th year now. That mindset applies to so much more than just the testing we do. And I imagine over the next however long we do this podcast, the next 10 years or so, I imagine that we'll bring up some topics that are maybe outside of the traditional security realm, just because we approach life with that, hey, let me break this down, right? Here's what a bad person might do that normal people don't necessarily think of.
Let's be clear. If anybody's heard you and I talk at all, they know that we're going to approach lots of different topics. And I do think it's fair to call out that when we did this previously, James Jardine was one of the people doing this with us. And he has since left the company. He started it. Well, he had been doing and then continued doing Jardine Software. And he's still doing, he and Raph still do the Down the Rabbit Hole podcast.
Are they really? I haven't listened to that one for a while.
Yeah, the other podcast I'm on with Tom Eston and Scott Wright, we actually interviewed Raph just recently.
Oh, nice.
And I hadn't realized they were still doing it either, which I guess I shouldn't admit.
I can't hear Raph without thinking of the Wheel of Time, but that the producer there. I don't want to go down that rabbit hole.
Pun intended.
So our goal is to keep these at 15 to 20 minutes. If you know Kevin and I, that might be a stretch. We'll see what happens.
We'll try.
But if you're an old time listener, welcome back. Glad to have you. If you're a new subscriber, we'll apologize in advance. But hopefully we all have a good time.
But the goal is you'll get something out of it. It might not be something good, but you'll get something out of it.
You'll get something out of it, right? All right, let's jump in. The big thing that everybody's talking about, people have been talking about this for several weeks. People are going to be talking about it probably for several more months.
Years.
Log4j. Are we tired of hearing about that yet?
Yes, very much so. But I'll be honest, I'm tired of it not because of the problem. I think the problem is a significant problem.
Oh, sure.
It's an important thing to talk about. It's an important thing to understand. What I'm tired of hearing about is all the damn vendors hyping it.
Yeah.
The number of vendors who are like, we've got the solution to that. No, you don't. You don't. I don't know to hear your pitch. I know you don't. And I'll tell you this, as a vendor, right? Like Secure Ideas is a vendor. We sell services. We have repeatedly turned customers away that have asked us, can you test us? Just, scan all our stuff and test for Log4j. And we've said no. We can absolutely test for it. We can absolutely find it. We can absolutely do this. But there's no, in my opinion, ethicalness to accepting payment for something that I can't guarantee I found all the places, right?
See,
Like,
I'm going to disagree. I'm going to say that we do have a solution for it, and I'm going to point back to all the talks that I've given over the last 3 or 4 years.
Yes, yes.
I have been ranting about supply chain attacks for years now,
Yeah,
and
but
nobody's paid attention until all of, like, the last year. Oh my gosh, there's this new thing.
You missed out on bug bounties.
Okay. No, but I mean, this is basic stuff, right? Here's
Yes,
the problem. You got to have a software inventory. You got to have a hardware inventory. You've got to actually do vulnerability management. You've got to keep track of what's where, like all of the basic foundational, the CIS controls, right? Like this is introductory InfoSec stuff. And everybody's like, oh, defense in depth, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's okay. Our framework takes care of that for us.
It handles it for us. Well, but your framework is what's vulnerable, right? Like it amazes me, and you're absolutely right. We do have something we can sell, but we don't sell a solution to Log4j, right? Like, and even the stuff you've been ranting about, and I've always agreed with your rants that the supply chain is what's going to eat us.
I'm going to record that. We're going to save that clip.
Yeah, that's going into Slack. Kevin said he always agrees with Nathan. So
that's awesome.
We have an unofficial contest that we do every once in a while to see how many times one of us was right in Slack. I'm currently winning. I don't know that that's true, but I'm going to.
I'm pretty sure that's not true. I think a quick search of Nathan is right will come up.
Will show that I'm wrong. I think that the problem here, and this isn't a Log4j problem. This is a problem caused by we have changed the way we build and deploy systems. Yeah. When I started, and I'd rather not acknowledge the fact that it was over 30 years ago in IT professionally, when we needed to build a piece of software, we built a piece of software. We wrote all of the code. And yes, there were libraries, and yes, the compiler did things. I'm not claiming to have written every line of code I used.
So what you're saying is Steve Gibson is right.
Right? No, not at all. And but we've moved from that model where 90% of the code, and that's a made up number, but 90% of the code was written by the developer who was on the project or the developers who were on the project, to now, I mean, we build applications, we talk to developers who build applications, and 5% of the code is written by them, right?
Yeah.
And even with this problem, I think that's good, right?
Like, absolutely, it's not a bad thing,
right? We've always pushed to this idea of centralization of libraries, using standards, building out stuff like this, and so it absolutely means when something like this Log4j problem comes out, because there will be another one, whether it's Log4j or something else. Ignore check marks; they suck. But but whatever the next big thing is. That doesn't mean we shouldn't be using the libraries. It just means we have to have a better understanding of what we're running.
Yeah, exactly. I think my biggest complaint is that people accept a convenience, right? That weakens security to some degree. We are running code that we didn't write, and we're accepting updates from somebody. It's going to have vulnerabilities. We're not doing testing. All of the things encompassed in that. We're accepting that lowered security for convenience, but we're not updating our threat models to say, hey, here's this type of attack. Here's this type of attack. What are we doing to make sure that those things, either one, can't happen, or two, that we can detect it quickly, right? We're not putting the thought into how do we improve our security based on this, which comes back to what I was saying before, defense in depth.
And let's be very clear, we're not going to now. And the reason I say that, and I'm hoping I'm wrong, right?
No, you're not.
I know. Did you just say I'm right?
Nope, I did not.
The very easiest way to prove that we're not going to learn from this is left pad.
Yeah.
Right? The NPM package that literally, what was it? 7 lines of code.
Something like that.
It took a string and it padded it to the left, and that's it. And the developer of it got mad. I don't even remember what the
it was a trademark. It was a trademark violation thing.
Yeah, but it wasn't even about left pad. It was another package.
No, it wasn't a package. It was his username was trademarked by another company, and the company said, "Hey, we want to pay you for that. he said, "Screw you, hippie." So they
Yeah,
went to NPM and said, "No, really, we want this name, and he's not working with us." And NPM said, "Okay, great. Please don't sue us. Like, here."
yeah. And they
And then
took it,
that guy got
and
mad and like delisted all of his stuff.
yeah, and one of the packages he delisted was LeftPad. Three-quarters of the internet stopped working.
Yeah,
That's an exaggeration, but
it's
right,
close.
like massive parts of the internet, massive parts of internal systems that didn't even know they were using LeftPad. They were using a package that used a package that used a package that used a package that used LeftPad. And people were like, for a week or two, every news was the internet goes down because of left or whatever, right?
Yeah,
And
they didn't even know how to talk about it.
I know I
Supply
still
chain
have.
attack. Like the news were like, "What's a supply chain? We don't even know what this means."
We don't even know what it is. I still have right wing people I'm connected to that are mad that the left brought down the internet back then. But you think I'm making that up, but we ranted about it then. Oh my gosh, this is awful. Look at the damage this caused. Look at the outage. We've got to do something about this. It happened again. It happened again. It
Yeah,
happened again. And now we're just at the latest iteration of everybody ranting, everybody being mad, everybody running around with their pants on fire. The sky is falling. And I guarantee you that in April, there will be another vulnerability. People will be like, oh my gosh, what do we do? And we'll get, and I say this because we have people reaching out to us saying, can you test for Log4j? And our response is, no. Have you looked for an inventory of all the libraries you're using? Have you looked at SBOM? Have you done this? No, no, no. We need to fix Log4j. No, you do. Like that is a
right.
fix you have to apply, but you've got to fix the process. And I have very few people reaching out to me. I don't know if you're the same, but very few of the people reaching out are talking about the underlying problem. They're
Yeah,
asking for a band-aid today.
I I think
I'm
there's a
not saying
lot of
nobody.
I think there's a lot of people looking for a band-aid, absolutely, and that's going
Yeah,
to happen. I've been impressed over the last couple of years. I feel like more and more people are recognizing that it's a problem and trying to put steps in place to fix it. I don't think the industry has the solutions
no,
to
no,
fix it at a higher level yet. You know, there's lots of
yeah,
companies like, hey, we'll come in, we'll inventory your stuff, we'll give you the SBOM.
yeah,
If you're not familiar, SBOM is a software bill of materials, right? It's
yeah.
the idea of here's everything, all the underlying libraries and services that you depend on. Um, I,
And
I'm
to
hopeful
be
though.
very clear,
I think we're making progress. I think
we
it's
are.
really slow progress.
Because I want to qualify what I said. What I'm talking about is not customers. I'm talking about the people who have reached out to Secure Ideas and said, hey, we have a
Sure.
security problem. Can you help us? Because I will tell you, I can't think of a single one of the customers we've talked to that isn't asking about the underlying problem.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm not saying that, obviously, I'm biased. Our customers are smarter than the average bear because they hired
They
us.
hired us, right?
Right. But I think that that's not a you hired Secure Ideas. It's that you're thinking about security. This is not a new thing to you.
Yeah.
Whereas the people who are reaching out, they're like, man, I've never had a pen test. I don't do vulnerability scanning. How do you fix the Log4j problem? Those organizations, and let's be blunt, those organizations are already above the organizations that aren't even looking at that.
Aren't
Right?
even aware that it's a thing. Yeah.
The ones that aren't reaching out and
Right.
asking. I agree with you. We're making progress. I think though that one of the things that undermines that progress is the ambulance chasing in the industry.
Yeah.
And I
You
don't
mentioned
know a
that
better
earlier.
term for it,
No, that's
right?
I mean, like what was Checkmarks' thing they put out the other day? They announced a new version of the bug.
Yeah, a new version of the bug in the 2.17. I'm losing track of version
I
numbers here, but I think it's the .17 version. And it's if you have the rights to edit the configuration file, you can load a malicious JNDI link and execute code. And I want to be very clear. Some people on Twitter have pointed out that there are file write vulnerabilities in like VMware that you could chain with this, and that's absolutely true.
Sure.
But my issue is not like people are like, oh, you're all dunking on the vuln. It's like, no, 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 I'm not dunking on the vuln. I'm dunking on the idea that the vendor put forward a vulnerability and immediately announced, but we can detect this
Oh,
for you. And
by the way, yeah.
yeah, by the way, if you buy our software, which if you haven't heard me on stage, I've said every single time on stage for what, the last 5 years, do not buy check marks. I am biased against the
Yeah.
lying unethical company they are. but that is, I mean, I'm getting emails from security vendors who are offering to test our systems for us
Sure.
for this vulnerability. We're being sent emails and spam from companies who are like, hey, we'll monitor for that, we'll do that. It's like, guys, this is not like, stop chasing this.
Yeah. Well, what I think is hilarious about the whole deal, and I don't want to throw the guy under the bus because I'm sure he feels horrible and realizes he made a huge mistake. But this whole thing first started with a security guy. I think it was Alibaba. I think it was like a security engineer for Alibaba that discovered.
That's my understanding. Yeah.
He discovered this vulnerability in Minecraft and was like, immediate full disclosure on Twitter. Hey guys, check this out. Here's a link to my GitHub. Here's the exploit. Yep. Check out this cool thing that I can do on Minecraft. And everybody was like, oh wait, that's
yeah.
That's bad. Yeah. No, that's really bad.
Yeah, my understanding is he's gotten in trouble with China, but because of being there and stuff like that. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I don't think it's making fun of the guy. He didn't understand what he was looking at.
Yeah,
and that's ignorance, not stupidity. Right.
Well, and so it's ignorance, but there's also like he's chasing the glory. Hey, look at this cool thing I found. Rather than if it was a legitimately just a vulnerability in Minecraft, he could have contacted Microsoft and said, hey, by the way, here's this thing. Let's get this fixed and then I'll announce it. Instead, it's like, hey, let's rush to publish this.
Yeah. And my understanding is he did publish it and then retract. Like it wasn't just, and the reason I say that is, and I may be wrong, but my understanding was he did more than just a simple tweet, because
there was a link to his GitHub that had all the research and the exploit,
the research and stuff like that. Yeah, because a tweet, I've talked to some people before about like full disclosure via Twitter, and it's so often people will tweet something not thinking about the potential audience, right? Like
hold on. Wait. You just said people tweet stuff without thinking.
Like, I did.
Really?
I did.
Like, is that a thing?
Yeah, I know. That was so wrong. Everybody really thinks through their tweets. No, but I think it's an important thing, right? Because we've said this about social media for years, is that people think about it as, this is how I talk to my friends. And so my friends are going to see this. Nobody else will. There's no other reason somebody will. There's 3 people that follow my account, and that's it, and they're the only ones who will see it, and we see quite often that mistake made. Now, many times the mistake is made quite funny because people say things that are embarrassing or whatever, but yeah, it was, hey, I found this cool thing, look at this code, look at this exploit, look at this neat thing I found, and now everybody is panicking, and it's messed up.
Yeah, we're gonna have to come back for another episode sometime and talk about social media and how people use that inappropriately and how it's destroying society and everything that is good society. And holy. I love it. I could do a 20-minute rant on that, I think.
I don't think social media is destroying society. I think society is destroying society. That's just the tool we're using.
Fair enough.
We can talk about that later.
I actually will call this a foreshadow here. I actually wrote a paper in college talking about how I don't know, it was totally like anti-civilization. Like civilization is like the ultimate evil, and like I had examples from the Bible and Gilgamesh and like all of these ancient literature pointing out like how bad society is, how bad civilization is, and anyway, I didn't get a good grade, but it was a fun like, conversation.
Capitalism is the worst system ever, but it's better than all the others or something, right? What is civilization is the worst thing ever, but it's better than the options.
Exactly. All right, well, let's wrap it up there. It's been great talking with you, Kevin, and our plan is to do this every 2 weeks. We'll see how well we succeed or fail at that.
Stick to that.
But
we'll try.
All right. Well, everybody I guess by the time this is published, it'll already be New Year, but I hope you enjoyed the holidays and have a happy New Year.
Joy.